Sasuke is about to be rescued sooner than expected, but it might create some problems in the story, which could even cost his life. So what exactly are the writers thinking when it comes to the fate of the author's favorite character? Will he be sealed in the daikokuten just like Naruto? What about the rinnegan? Is the Shinju tree actually going to give it back to him? And most importantly, will the writers kill him off after a major MVP moment similar to Naruto's Baryon mode? Now that one of the 3 remaining futures from prescience will reflect in the next chapter with Mamushi's raid on Konoha, I think it's time to dig deep into the Sarada and Hidari panel as well, just to find out what it means for the future of the story. But before my thoughts on what's going on in this sequence, let me present a keen analysis on the human-based Shinju, which would clear a lot of doubts on how strong they actually are. The analysis also answers why the death of Hidari by Sarada's hands is not very likely to happen, as well as the true meaning behind a setup from a recent chapter where Ryu used his soul thorn as a bait on the shinobi. So make sure to like and hype this video, and let's begin. Hidari first appeared in chapter 4 and made his move on Boruto. It became a common assumption that he is the strongest Shinju after Jura for obvious reasons. He was cloned after Sasuke, who was the most powerful among all the victims of the Claw Grimes. But as we moved forward in the story, it didn't take us long to figure out that it wasn't the case at all. In fact, the most powerful human-based Shinju is arguably Mamushi due to his division ability, and ironically enough, his human counterpart was the weakest of them all. Surprisingly, he wasn't even a shinobi to begin with. Sarada, before awakening her Mangenkyu, was able to deal some good damage to Hidari, and with the combined effort of Team 7, they were even able to destroy him, which is how we got introduced to the Soul Thorn bulb. But when you look at the Sand arc, where Sarada literally suffered to stand a chance against Ryu, some things become pretty clear. The power dynamics of the Shinju have nothing to do with their human counterparts. In fact, their power level is subject to the unique abilities that the Shinju tree bestowed upon them. And when we keep that in mind and look at this upcoming future scene where Hidari is fighting against Sarada, who has her Mangenkyu on, it's a no-brainer that the Shinju holds no chance against her. So why would Jura send him to a self-destruction mission if he knows the target that he's after literally wiped out his other comrade, which is Ryu? Well, this is where things get interesting. Even if Hidari knows that this upcoming fight would lead to his death, he is still taking a chance by engaging in it, not for the sake of devouring his overpowered target, instead in the effort of finding the answer to one of the fundamental questions that he posed in the beginning of the story. Who exactly are we? This is something that Hidari was curious about. He wanted to know more about this life which was granted to him, and just because Jura instructed him that upon devouring his target, he will find the answer, he's just trying to do that, even if it means to die at the end. In chapter 26 of Two Blue Vortex, Kashinkoji mentioned that the whole motive behind the Sand Village mission was to awaken the Mangenkyu of Sarada. He revealed it to be a huge power, which would prevent a lot of deaths in the future. So was it by the means of Sarada helping in destroying the Shinju with this power, even if it means she would eventually get blind? Well, I think the reality is far deeper than that. And just like how Koji had a strategy for Mamushi, he must definitely have one for Hidari as well. But instead of pushing the situation into the Shinju's death, Koji will somehow make him surrender to the greater cause after he gets a satisfactory conclusion on his identity crisis. As you could see in the Mamushi panel, there was Daemon up against the clones of the Shinju, which is most likely the event that will happen in the next chapter. But when you pay some attention to the Hidari and Sarada panel, it seems like he's making the same gesture to Sarada that Itachi used to make to Sasuke as a token of love. And this only means one thing: Hidari would either retrieve his memories or would finally get to know that the way of Shinju is degrading because of one solid reason, and that is the life that he's living is not even his own. You must be familiar with the double agent theories in Hidari's case, which states that he already obtained the memories or essence of Sasuke after reviving through the Soul Thorn bulb. But let's keep that aside for a while and take a look at something which got overshadowed in the 11th chapter of the manga. The whole attention was given to Himawari's new transformation, so I'm pretty sure that not everyone must be caught up with this small detail. In this panel right here, Konohamaru poses a question to Hidari about his identity. Just because the village had sensed the chakra of Sasuke coming from him, it was obvious to ask him how he's associated with that shinobi. But just when Hidari heard that name, he quickly responded that he doesn't even know him, and it's a strange question to begin with. Followed by this in the next panel, Hidari says that he's still trying to figure out who he is, and that's why he came to Konoha. Then we have Sumire figuring out Sarada is the target that he's after, and this concludes a few things. Hidari strongly believes that he will get rid of his identity crisis after consuming Sarada. He even said in the next chapter that he wonders what he will obtain after devouring her. But just think about the fact that he didn't know who Sasuke is, and that's important because it's the answer to his biggest question. Upon realizing who Sasuke is and how he unintentionally stole his life to become a Shinju through the Ten Tails, maybe it will have a change of heart in him, pushing him to do what was teased in the Sand arc. As we saw Ryu using the Soul Thorn as a bait to unveil the true motives of the shinobi, one thing was clear that the Shinju can definitely give away their Soul Thorns to people before death. So if you connect this with how Sarada with her Mangekyou active is facing Hidari, who seems to be trying to tap her head as a gesture of love that Sasuke and Itachi have made in the past, some things become pretty clear here. The Mangekyou could be the trigger to access the memories or essence of Sasuke, whose chakra has been fueling the existence of Hidari. It's just a matter of time before Hidari figures out this dark reality behind his existence, and among all the Shinju, he would be the only one to give up on this pathetic life due to the morals and values that he inherited from Sasuke. So how can I be so sure for this to be the case? Well, I hope you subscribe, as the authors have already teased this answer in a Q&A session. The official Naruto website reveals a key in detail about the Shinju and their demeanor. It uses an example of Shinki and Ryu to explain how the divine trees operate. The website states that every being wears a mask which is shaped for the world's gaze. We learn to adapt, to shift, to survive within society's endless mirrors. But the Shinju have only just awakened to consciousness, and they have no idea about these guises or manners. So when they differ from their originals, it might not be an error. Instead, it may actually mean that the Shinju is the one showing the true face of their original. Now this pretty much sums up the case of Matsuri, Mamushi and Ryu, since they are totally different than their human counterparts. But when you talk about Hidari, he seems to be the only one to question his existence, something that Sasuke would do as well if he had to reincarnate as somebody else. So what if it's just that he never lost the feelings that his human counterpart bestowed upon him, which may be why he is the only one destined for redemption after witnessing the Mangekyou Sharingan of Sarada. Now there are endless reasons for the Mangekyou to be the trigger for Hidari's atonement. It's the Kekkai Genkai of Sasuke's own clan, a power strongly linked to suppressed emotions which heavily enhance the shinobi. It's also a symbol of love because of the way it's awakened, a pain that stems from loss manifesting into a massive ability for the user. So if meeting Sarada with this eye would bring a change in Hidari's heart, then I guess we have figured out what's happening in this panel. The Shinju will tap her head as a gesture of love, followed by surrendering his Soul Thorn bulb that she would then keep safe until the time for Sasuke's retrieval. So that sums up everything for the most part. But what about the fate of Sasuke? Well, there are a few notable things that I believe would come along with his resurrection. You can let me know more ideas in the comments too. So let's get right into it. One of the bets that I and many others have put on Sasuke's revival is that the Shinju tree would very likely heal his lost body parts, including the rinnegan and the left arm. Hidari literally means left arm, so maybe that's also a hint for Sasuke getting the lost parts back. But what would be his role in a world where the shinobi system is on the verge of crumbling? Well, based on the power gap between him and Kawaki, I won't be surprised if he becomes one of the many people who will be sent to the same dimension as Naruto. There is even a chance that Jura would intervene shortly after Hidari meets his fate, making it almost impossible for Sarada or anyone else to use the Soul Thorn in bringing Sasuke back. The only way Sarada could use it on time would be by the means of Boruto telling her the coordinates of Sasuke's tree, and she might go there to retrieve her father by herself, while Boruto, Himawari and Kawaki would deal with the main nuisance, which is Jura. There is even a chance for Sasuke to get more powers after coming back, but looking at the case of Moegi, that is far from happening, since it only made her weaker than actually increasing her strength. As for the rinnegan and arm theory, the whole reason for someone to even consider that comes from how the Shinju tree has only concealed these two missing body parts of Sasuke. It is as if the makers are trying to hint that he will get them back, so that leaves us with one question. If Sasuke is about to return very soon, most likely in the upcoming arc, what role would he be playing to stay relevant among all Sasuke tier characters? Well, if we look at it from another angle, it is also a bit unlikely to happen, cause it would break the pattern between Naruto and Sasuke's destinies, where both of them go through similar events, be it a new awakening or getting trapped around the same time in the story. So we need to think of a twist, where Sarada, even after obtaining Sasuke's soul thorn, would not be able to utilize it. Well, that brings us to only one outcome, the interference of Jura, which would quickly escalate to the next major phase of the story. It might involve all the shinobi to prevent him from going too far, and that might stop Sarada and the others from doing what needs to be done. A good theory would be Kawaki, after receiving the power that he's demanding from Amado, is going to be the same that was shown in episode 1. Therefore, after defeating Jura, his next goal would naturally shift to ending the age of shinobi, most likely due to some external cause. And while he would act on his instincts to end the shinobi system, he might use his daikokuten to seal everyone around him, which might include Sarada as well. So either the soul thorn of Sasuke has also been sealed away, or maybe Boruto has kept it to himself, and he would first need to deal with Kawaki before using it to revive his master. Now, this final Sasuke theory is a crazy one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes true. Boruto in the first episode looks like he has came back from somewhere just to find out Kawaki has destroyed the village. So what if it was after the Jura battle, when Boruto was busy reviving Sasuke? It could be that Kashinkoji would alert him about what's happening in Konoha, a future that prescience couldn't count for, cause he wasn't aware about some of the factors. Therefore, if that happens, then it can be concluded that Sasuke is safe from Kawaki's streak of sealing people in the future, which means his true resolve will either help in restoring or protecting the shinobi system from its most fatal threat so far. It might mirror the events of the anime special arc, where Boruto, Jiraiya and Sasuke can be seen together, again establishing the anime as the foreshadower of the manga's events. Let me know if you think Sasuke is safe from Kawaki in the future, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time.